Grateful.
Central Home. Mr. Highland speaking. Yeah, Charlie? Real live one, huh? Just a minute. Yeah? Richards, 182 South Street. Yeah, I got it. No, we'll drop around the beginning of next week. The longer she chews her fingernails, the better. Right. Mrs. Richards?
Yes?
My name is George Highland. I understand you and your husband have been in contact with the Board of Adoption lately.
Oh, yes. Please come in.
Thank you.
Won't you sit down?
Thank you. Mrs. Richards, I'll come to the point immediately. I represent the Central Home for Young Women. Perhaps you know of our work throughout the country?
Well, no.
We're a private interstate organization. We operate maternity centers for unfortunate girls who cannot assume the responsibilities attendant to the birth and upbringing of a child.
I see. Well, did someone tell you about us?
We have many means of information.
And you mean that Ted and I can... I mean, there must be dozens of other couples.
Mrs. Richards, I assure you there's nothing to worry about. Oh, there are a few minor expenses involved, but the important thing is whether or not you want a child.
Oh, you don't have to ask me that, Mr. Highland. I don't think I could take another disappointment right now.
Well, you talk it over with your husband tonight. Give us a word to go ahead. I think I can promise you a child within, 2 months at the latest.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Good day.
First, I couldn't believe it. When he said we wouldn't have any trouble qualifying, well, it seemed like a miracle.
But, darling, I've never heard of this Central Home for Young Women.
Well, the important thing is that they've heard of us, and they want to help us.
Now, after all, we've got our application in the State Board of Adoptions. Don't you think we ought to let them handle everything?
And wait 2 years? This way it'll only take about 2 months. Oh, Ted, I can't. I can't.
All right, darling, if that's the way you feel, we'll go see you, Mr. Highland, tomorrow morning.
Naturally, our prime concern is for the welfare of the child. You know, it isn't easy to find the ideal parents. Once we do, we attempt to move as rapidly as possible.
In other words, you operate something like the State Board of Adoptions.
To a degree, yes, but handling as they do hundreds of applications every month, many a deserving couple are forced to wait.
I know. That's why we're so grateful to you.
Betty, Mrs. Richards, told me you said something about expenses being involved.
Yes. The home is a non-profit charitable institution, but its budget is limited, and the prospective parents are expected to assume some obligations.
Well, what do they consist of?
Delivery and hospital costs, for one thing. And then there's a few legal fees. You'll need an attorney for the adoption hearings.
Well, how much will it come to in all?
Oh, roughly, I'd say $500. Someday we hope to be in a position to eliminate all costs, but in the meantime...
We understand. And you'll have the money in your office whenever you say.
Well, that's fine. Congratulations. 6 weeks later, George Highland notified Ted and Betty that they could pick up their baby at his office. It was the happiest moment of their lives. Well, Mrs. Richards, what do you think of your new daughter?
Oh, she's so tiny. So beautiful. Oh, Ted.
Listen to her try to talk. Just 2 weeks old.
In most states, 12 months must elapse before any adoption of a child could be made legally final. This probationary period was the happiest Betty and Ted Richards had ever known.
There. Want to play with your dolly? Here. You hold this while I brush your hair. And I'll hold still. Don't you want to look pretty when Daddy comes home? That's right. Yeah, that's your baby. Oh, maybe that's Daddy now. You sit down and play with your dollies while Mommy goes and finds out, hmm? There you go. You must be Mrs. Richards. Yes. Does the name Wharton mean anything to you? Joan Wharton? No, I'm afraid not. It will. In court. I'm the kid's mother. Oh, no, that's not true. The records were confidential. Mr. Highland said the real mother would never know. Maybe Mr. Highland wasn't as clever as he thought. Why did you come here? What do you want? What would any woman want in my place? Her child. But you've no right to her. I have every right. Before the adoption's final. And that won't be for 2 weeks. But you signed the papers. You gave her up. What if I did? I was desperate.
Daddy?
Well, look who's here. Come here, lovey. Hey, please keep away from her. Oh, don't worry, Mrs. Richards. We're just getting acquainted for now. Hey, how would you like to give your real mother a great big hug, huh? Would you give her to me? No, I've waited too long for this. Living in cheap rooms, working day and night. Huh? Yes, earning as much money as I could to find her. And now that I found her, I'm never going to let her go. But we're the only parents Laurie's ever known. She's been happy here. Oh, she's too young to know what's been happening to her. She'll forget all about you in a couple of weeks, won't she, lovey? Huh? No, she won't. That's a lie. Come here. Now get out of here. All right, Mrs. Richards. You win for now. But I haven't started to fight. Talk to your friend Highland. He'll tell you that 9 out of 10 contested adoptions are decided in the favor of the child's real mother. I said get out of here before I call the police. Think it over. I'll be at the Hotel Prospect if you decide to save yourself a lot of trouble and settle out of court.
Threatened with the loss of their child, Ted and Betty turned to the one man who could help them, George Highland. He spoke to the Wharton girl the next morning, then reported back to his office.
Well, how she discovered the whereabouts of the child is unimportant. The point is, she has every legal right to contest that adoption.
Well, what about moral rights? We've raised Laurie since she was 2 weeks old. Doesn't that count for anything?
Not very much, I'm afraid. However, I was able to persuade Miss Wharton that despite her personal desires, she's in no position to properly take care of that child.
You mean she might let us keep Laurie?
Yes, she will. For a price.
So that's what it is. Nothing but a cheap shakedown.
It's hard to believe there are women like that, but I'm afraid you're right.
How much does she want?
A great deal. $3,000.
But we haven't got it. We'd never be able to raise that much money.
I know. I tried to tell her the circumstances, but she said she wouldn't take 1 penny less than the full amount.
Well, there's nothing left to do but to fight it out in court.
Don't do that. I wouldn't advise it.